Ooh. All right. So, all right. So, we're. I don't know why. I just hit the go live button, and I was like, wait. I don't know if I'm. Wait. Hold on. Okay. We're going. We're going live. Just- Mm. Oh my gosh. Well, I've got my trusty sidekick sitting here by my side, who's like really about to, kick all sorts of stuff off the table. Um, he might get his purring might get loud. My God, this is a little chaotic. So thanks for your patience as I get settled in here. So today we're going to read the introduction to techniques and exercises in the fourth hub. We're at page 179. Like look at how far we've made it. There's and so we don't this section we're almost getting through, having read through chapter 6, the fourth hub, and then we're going to move on to chapter 7, which is the fifth hub. Or no, is it, wait, what is it? I don't know, whatever, we'll figure it out when we get there. Yeah, it's funny, I'd actually tried to make it a little bit more intuitive, and I'd wanted part 1 to just be sort of like this standalone part 1, and then part 2 is chapter 1 through 7 for each of the hubs, and then I don't know, it just got kiboshed for whatever reason. I still think it's like pretty great. I still think it stands, but I don't know. There was some point where it made sense. There are certain concessions that I was like very keen on making as in the production of the book, just knowing how, that I don't know actually how to write, didn't know how to write or produce a book. So he's pretty wild. So anyway, hi. So I'm here. All right. So this part's a little bit short. I don't know if you remember when I was pulling up the in screens, which I'm not doing right now. Bloop. Here we are. And so that actually was really convenient. Remember when it like came up on the side here? And so these actually, it might be kind of fun at some point. I'm not going to do it today, to talk about like how the creation of the gingerbread people came to be. It's all the origin stories of all of these little things that are now incorporated into the book. But now, like, they look very different than they did when they started. Having a professional designer put some, I guess, just design to them. They'd previously been like gingerbread people, and there's like some pictures. Maybe I'll put them up on Instagram at some point about like how I first envisioned how this all fit together visually. But so just as like we're in the techniques and exercises, and actually one thing I want to bring up here is that um today one of the things I was thinking about was how my own understanding of what TPM is as it relates to me and how it exists in the world has evolved through this process of doing this and reading it, and sort of accidentally going through the cycles of it in this past year with reading these, and understanding how this works. I don't think I really understood while I was working on the book, and even like teaching it and figuring it out. And now I feel like I'm kind of like we're trailblazing practitioners here. And so one of the things was that I had, in terms of the physical practice, my understanding of like where that lives in was like really kind of front loaded. And now I kind of see it more as like a mix, that it's all kind of happens together, and that building a practice actually just means spending time. I talked about this in a previous reading. It's really about just spending time in this space of continuing to validate that there is nothing wrong with you. Like it's just everything is to get back to, I just saw a little clip of Gabor Mate talking about how like how stress response, like how pathologies are actually reasonable responses to the conditions that created them, and that sure that they're pathologies, but that ultimately they're really logical responses to the conditions that create them, like people that go to war, people with PTSD, and his notion was like it's not a disorder. It's post-traumatic stress, but that and that it is real, but like the idea that it's a disorder versus it just being a very reasonable response is right in line with what we're talking about. And part of what we really want to do is we're really spending time in this material reevaluating and finding this in ourselves, building tools. Like it's multifaceted here, but building tools, but spending time in this notion. And part of the spending time part is paying attention to how much sense this makes to something within you, that it's not just about connecting this to like kind of a logical like response, but feeling the fact that it's like this sense of this, the parts of this that make sense to you, maybe all of take the parts that are right for you. But anyway, so for the techniques and exercises, like what we're finding, like the sort of geolocation of the given hub as it relates to, first of all, the specialized nervous fibers that are like that we find on the spinal column, and then also kind of the physicality as it relates to really connecting our physical experience with the hub. And here as we've talked about, the breathing with the heart and the lungs, the in, the out, the give and take, and the consistency, the consistently showing up, and also the reflected relationship with nature that our breathing has, and that how that connects us to the natural world. And in many other ways, how we're connected to other human beings, like our connection and our belonging here. So here, where the kind of the physical prompts at the top of this are expanding the chest with an inhale. So inhale through the nose, and then exhale through the mouth. And so I don't know how much we get into this here, but one of the things about like tightness in the chest is to look at, especially if you are feeling grief, heartache, that to breathe into it, to just create some kind of soothing and loosening, with softening there. And the physical sensation. And then there's lift the shoulders to the ears on the inhale. And even try to create a little bit of a tremor if you can, like do a little bit of a squeeze. Inhale, and then exhale, like slowly. I got a little inhale in there. And then tighten the hands into fists on the inhale. And then exhale them open. You pet your cat. If you have a gray cat sitting next to you, you should pet them with that hand, the right hand specifically. He'll really like it a lot, and he might bump into the stand here and knock over the... this is all part of the techniques and exercises. If you want to do it absolutely correctly, it does involve a gray cat. But listen, 80% of the way it'll get you there. Jokes aside. So I'm just going to read the opener here, because what we have, so the fourth hub, the Parinama fourth hub fundamentals, which is the opening for this section. And then we get into receiving, breathing exercises, so reception and gratitude breath ball. Oh, these are really nice. Crying, humanization, and then we have charge and discharge. So there's some nice stuff in here to look forward to in the next couple of days. Hopefully, who knows, maybe I'll get them done. I'm really looking forward to, his little feet are so cute. They're like little rabbit feet, and they push things off. So, okay, here we go. So Fourth hub practices focus on softening and balancing, relaxing rigidity in the chest to increase capacity for breathing, crying, and laughing to encourage a more dynamic, balanced dynamic between receiving and giving. If you're reading these words, you've survived everything that's happened to you. Through the good times and bad, your heart keeps beating and you've kept breathing. In this way, you've never given up on yourself. Like the simplicity of the previous hubs, the fourth hub involves, I'm like, simplicity. I'm like, who's got this? Huh. Okay. Read that again. Like the simplicity of the previous hubs. Who wrote this thing? The fourth hub involves conscious reclamation of everyday actions. Oh, yeah. Okay. In this hub, breathing and crying have often become restricted or buried in muscular rigidity. Yeah. Your breath is a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious management of your nervous system. Inhale activates the sympathetic nervous system, and an exhale recruits the parasympathetic nervous functions that relax and release. A single daily, deep, gentle inhale and exhale done consciously can begin to shift your life. So let's do it together. So inhaling through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Yeah. It did for me. I actually had that experience, that direct experience of like having one really deep breath and being like, wow, that changes everything. Yeah, okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to read today. Yeah. That's all I'm going to read today. One of the things that I actually started writing this, and then I was like, there's certain things that, like, one of the things is that as my understanding of this is evolving, is even with things on social media, that it doesn't really feel right as like memes. And it's like, and even the more I'm getting into this, like the nuanced and multifacetedness of it does not, it just it doesn't feel right. And we'll see where this goes. But, and this is another thing that I've actually been reconciling over the last couple months with this, is that it's kind of like who I am as it relates to this book. And in the very earliest stages, and it's still in its very earliest stages, so I'll say the earliest stages of the early stages, is that I felt a really conventional sense of responsibility to really represent something, like represent some type of ideal about what this is. And so for fourth hub, which is one of the things that is addressed here, is what we hide in order to belong, that got resurfaced and reconciled. And as a result of that, I realized, I'm like, wow, I'm actually like that. This is kind of entering sort of a new level of like hiding parts of myself, specifically feeling responsible for representing TPM in the world. And, kind of like this idea of like a conventional idea of like, what is aspirational, and like, what are the things that I should like really like put forward to be like, here's all the great stuff that you get. Like I honestly just didn't know. And I felt like, like there was this thing where I'm like, I'm really going to have to be this person that somebody would want to be in order for them to connect with TPM, which is absolutely now something that I've separated from, which is I now even understand myself as like a separate, as it relates separately to Parinama method, in that I use it. So I use it and it's its own thing, and that I'm using it like it's almost like the first thing that came to mind is I'm like, I feel like this book is kind of like a book of spells that I'm using to become more like extraordinarily secure, to have more like like my feelings of aliveness, how much more powerful I'm becoming within myself, my ability to love, my ability to create from a sense of almost like 0 point, that I'm really getting into this place of understanding, that like of unlearning things and starting almost like from a zero with my idea of like the world that I want to be existing in, of my own creation. So yeah, so it's like using the book, and, so, it's kinda like, I guess I'm learning firsthand and experiencing what happens when you're doing this, and as a result, I think I'm becoming a better and better steward for this and understanding what this is, um, as a practice, and oddly enough, because this is gonna seem counter to what I just said, that what it is for people other than myself, that it isn't just like my practice, that this is our practice, and the way that it connects and relates to your own experience is very uniquely tied to who you are as a human being. So that is it for now. I'm going to sign off, and thank you for coming along, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. All right, bye for now.